TownHall Heroes. Hello everyone and welcome back to TownHall Heroes. It's been a while, but we are here with episode 161. We got an update with Bakery himself. We're talking about Alexstraza, some gameplay changes. We're gonna dabble with that briefly, and then Rosterpocalypse. You guys have been talking about it, you guys have been asking for it. When are we gonna dive in? We're gonna give you the previews of all of that. I'm Solid Jake. It's good to point out that we are having 2 episodes this week for the first time ever due to our month-long hiatus, and we've got Dunk and Bakery. I feel like I'm in a retirement home right now. Dude, they're totally muted. Oh my god.
Oh. Straight into it. Just straight into it, dude. Wasting no time.
You know, my grandpa, I saw him a couple days ago. We were talking about what it's like to be retired, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later today. Dunk, how does it feel being retired for 2 years now?
A year and a half. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of just how it is to me now. At first, it was a really big difference trying to adjust to the change, I guess, of not having a team, that sort of stuff. But now I'm liking what I'm doing, man. The streaming's great.
What else is good with you, Dunkus? It's been a long ass time. I mean, I saw you at Blizzcon, and everyone sees your stream, but what's good with the Dunk?
Not much, man. Just kind of get into the holiday spirit. Just did like a Friendsgiving dinner thing last night. That was great. So pretty sweet. And then kind of just chilling. Looking forward to actually being able to stream now that like I don't have any more traveling planned for the rest of the year. So like BlizzCon and the week after, like I was doing traveling. So now I'll just be able to kind of grind out the stream for a while, which will be great, especially with all the new changes.
I cannot wait to talk about all those big changes. Bakery, I mean, BlizzCon, obviously that was a crazy, crazy weekend. I mean, naturally, we'll talk a little bit more of that in general, but you just got off casting the Nexus games. Your first time really being on the desk as a dedicated analyst for a full week. How was that experience?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So I just got back today. I'm actually really tired because the entire week, like, it was a busy week, man.
Yeah.
And it was ending quite late in Europe as well. It was ending like anywhere from I'd say like 10 until like I think one day ended at 1:30 a.m. So
holy crap.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy time, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, especially casting, which I didn't think I would enjoy. So
that's surprising. You didn't think you'd like casting?
I thought I'd enjoy analyzing a lot more, but for me, casting was like much more fun. There's a lot more time I got to talk, and I feel like since I was actually in the game, I could highlight plays better. But there was also like a slightly weird workflow with the way we had to do replays in the analyst role, so that might have affected things.
No, it was actually really cool seeing you there, and it's funny because I think I asked you probably 8 months ago, or I don't know how long ago, if you would ever pursue that, and you were just like, I have no interest. I don't want to do that. Like, analysis cool, but casting, that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
You totally embraced it, man. It was really cool. And if you guys don't know what the Nexus Games is, first off, you need to catch up because it's basically Nexus Games last year was actually a thing in North America, where it was North American amateur event to kind of show off a glimmer of what 2017 might look like, and that was an NA thing. But what they've done this year is it's much more similar to the Overwatch World Cup, but it's a bunch of European countries that have players from that nation representing them, battling it out in a group stage, which has now proceeded into the playoffs, which will be what, next weekend? And it's produced in the ESL studios in Leicester, right?
Yeah, so it's the Nexus Games is a title that keeps rolling around. and it's different every time we use it. So this time, it's got no relation to last year, which was like an online tournament due to the length of time between the last regional and the BlizzCon like championship. Whereas this time, it is a regional tournament, which, as I see it at least, and just to be clear, this is nothing Blizzard official, so don't quote me on this. As I see it, at least, it is basically kind of like Heroes of the Dorm in that it's an amateur, like player discovery focused tournament. It's countries, kind of like a World Cup or something. And you form the country teams, and then they play against each other in a really cool tournament format.
Yeah, and it's really good because when you look at Europe, especially with the first Heroes of the Dorm, it wasn't even something they could watch, right? That was only on American television, and there's been 3 years of Heroes of the Dorm, and it's about time Europe got some kind of equivalent with that. And honestly, Dorm works for North America because you're not going to pick Connecticut versus Virginia. It's not really compelling, but as a college, it does make sense. Whereas Europe, there's so many countries all over the place, and having the nationality to root for is very similar. So it's super cool. It's really great, and it's cool to see ESL involved in Heroes again, because I think the last time ESL did anything with Heroes was like a North American regional in 2016. And it's been a good solid year since they've been involved, since HGC opened up and Blizzard is working more directly with themselves. And I don't know, I've always loved ESL myself, a lot of good friends there. So it's cool to see just the evolution of everything there. But we got to look at the topics at the bottom of the screen here if you're watching, and if you're listening at home. A lot of you have been wondering, what's next for Bakery? An announcement came out stating that Bakery will not be competing in Phase 1. You've opted to step down from Team Dignitas. Bakery, I don't even know where to begin. Like, what's the where do you want to start with this?
So it's a bit weird. I'm not going to talk about the reasons why I am not playing for the next 6 months. There are a fair amount of them. They're definitely significant. But like, I just don't want to go into them. It's like a long story, and the payoff isn't really very much, I feel like. So I'm not going to talk about them. But basically, for the next 6 months, for all intents and purposes, I have retired from professional gaming. I'm not going to be playing Heroes of the Storm. I'm not going to be practicing Heroes of the Storm for like a bit. I'm not going to be playing in any HGC teams, and that does, of course, mean I have stepped down from
Dignitas?
The Team Dignitas Heroes of the Storm team.
So you
now,
yeah,
wait,
okay. Yep.
There's a common misconception, which I really need to clear up. I don't quite know why it started, but I really need to clear it up. I did not retire to become a caster. Like, I've seen that flying around a lot on Twitter, like in Twitch chat, like Reddit. I did not retire to become a caster. I retired, and then the casting opportunity came up, and I thought, that's a good idea. Let's try it out. So I'm not necessarily going to be full-time casting. Like right now, I might do that. I might start that right now. This might be the start of me being a professional caster. But that was never like the goal. That was never the plan.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff I want to do, and I honestly don't know which direction I want to take it right now.
So it's safe to say that you are. So they worded it specifically that it's a retirement, but you've decided not to compete in Phase 1. But there's still the possibility you'll return. So my perception, without any conversations with you, because guys, honestly, I haven't sat down and talked to Bakery since BlizzCon, and you did not confirm with me that you were retiring at that point, and I was a little salty because I kind of heard. That's fine. That's fine. You don't trust me. It's cool. It's cool. But my perception of the whole situation is that you said, all right, I want to take a step back, look at where I am in my life, kind of just consider the future paths that may exist and proceed from there. If a fan is saying, Bakery, you're the only reason I root for Team Dignitas, you're the only reason I watch Heroes of the Storm, do they have the hope that you could return as a pro gamer?
Yes. So there is definitely a hope. So, one of the reasons I am taking a step back right now is that I'm not planning on playing very much Heroes of the Storm for the next, let's say, month. Like, I haven't played a single game on the European server for almost 2 months now. Like, just not playing the game. So basically, if the issues resolve themselves and I get past this and I decide I absolutely love being a professional player and I want to go back to it, then in phase 2, I will look to return as a professional player. But that's not a guarantee. And
Right.
to call it likely, I do think it's probably too far.
Sure.
But there are a lot of options. That's definitely one of them that I do want to do and I'd love to do. So we'll see how it goes.
I just want to say that I think it's amazing that, you know, no matter how you look at it, you're like, well, I might not be playing the game, but I'm not leaving the scene. And obviously that is true. And seeing you here, you know, you as far as I know, you intend to keep doing stuff like Town Hall, and you're obviously casting Nexus games. And at the end of the day, you both of you, both pro gamers, both world finalists, national champions, world champions, but no matter how much you play the game, your mind can still break the game down far better than me if I grinded 1,000 games more than you, right? Like, you guys bring such great analysis, and I think that's going to be an amazing contribution to the scene, no matter where it ends up being dominant. I mean, Dunk, were you surprised to hear this announcement after BlizzCon? Those loaded questions.
Yeah, man. I was totally caught off guard.
That's good.
I don't know. Like, I've been in the scene a long time. I know a lot of the players, a lot of the old guard at least, and like at this point, it wouldn't be surprising to me. Pretty much anyone who retired. I think like it's pretty common knowledge. Like, esport pro player lifetimes, like in MOBAs, are generally not super long, and we're getting to the point where, like, Baker, you played competitive for
3 years.
3 years. Like, that's a long lifetime for like an esports pro player for MOBAs in general.
Yeah.
Like, until you start getting like, for most players, that's a long lifetime in pro play. And then there's like specific people who are like standouts and have been around longer in their game or whatever, like the Bjergsons or the Fakers or whatever. Like, those people stick around for a long time because they're so well known. But like, even Bakery, most well known in Heroes, I would say probably one of like top 5 players most well known. Like, 3 years is still a long time.
I'm pretty sure Baker has the highest following of every single player when it comes to just Twitter metrics. So yeah, that's safe to say. But you're right, especially in Heroes. 3 years is pretty much the length of the esport, right? It's been since the beginning. And when it comes to the old guard that you mentioned, the numbers are dwindling like really fast. It feels like, you know, every phase it goes down and it goes down, and I expect to see that happen more than just Bakery this coming phase as we get there. But yeah, man, let's talk a little bit more about just, you know, the Nexus games, like overall experience when it comes to you transitioning from being the guy that's playing to being the guy that's talking about the player. Do you have any like weird vibes when it comes to criticizing people? Does that not faze you at all? Because I've heard of players that are awkward about, you know, there's a few pro gamers that are playing, and I think Poland and Spain, and is that at all odd for you, or has it just been a fun transition?
See, there has been a healthy amount of criticism, of course, in Twitch chat, and I saw some on Reddit as well. But at the same time, there's also been a lot of positive feedback, like about my casting and analyzing. I think probably the main thing that most people who like listened to the cast and actually cared what I brought to the desk will want to hear is that yes, if I do pursue this route, I will be looking into enunciation and pronunciation and just voice training in general. Because as is a theme with everything I do, I want to do it as well as I possibly can. And obviously, if there's weird pronunciation, there's throwing people off, even just standing out to people, that's definitely something that I do want to fix. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, again, just to be clear, I don't know how many more people have tuned in since the start of the show, but I did not retire to become a caster. I retired, and then this casting opportunity came up, and I thought it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. Like, I don't think I said this on the show yet. I want to do like everything you can think in esports that makes people's lives better, and I feel like I can have an impact with. I really want to do it. Like, I want to manage a team. I want to run an esports organization. I want to be a player. I want to be a caster. I want to be a coach.
Damn.
Like, I really do want to do everything. And anything I do, I'm going to commit to it, and I'm going to do it to the absolute best of my ability.
That's how you got to do it, man. And that's awesome to hear. And again, I mean, I'm just pumped to see what you do next. Obviously, as a player, you've achieved pretty much as humanly possible. But what you haven't achieved yet, you haven't seen this Violet skin yet. You've been missing out. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. Let me full screen it. Powers. Not the right button. Are you ready? She shoots Christmas lights, dude. She shoots Christmas lights. And then if you go to level 4, or maybe it's level 7, actually. It's level 7. And you pick up Arsenal, the grenades are snowballs. Like, oh, wait, level 10? What's Rain of Vengeance look like, you ask? Oh, it looks like snowman parts falling. Sickest stuff. Of course, the Heroes of the Storm detectives found all of the cool new content lingering within the new PTR update that came out today. And
that's awesome.
This Violet skin's one of them. There's 4 Christmas skins this year. 4. That we've discovered. AKA Reddit and all the people that are smarter than me. But yeah, man. Vala. This is my transition topic. We got Vala. We got... There's a bunch of other side ones. Great Father Malfurion, who has a Christmas tree treant, which is god tier. And then there's a Karazim, and there's a Malthael. Damn, Winterville Karazim. Oh, maybe that's a dead link. Got him. Okay, but fun stuff. Obviously, Blizzard will put out a dope video when they're actually ready to officially announce all that content. And I'm very pumped for it because I think it'll be, you know, just like the Halloween event. It was the most excited I've been for like new loot boxes or anything like that in a long, long time. Alexstraza, the only hero that's come out since we have been in this like lieu of shows between BlizzCon and everything. But you know what? Before we actually dive into Alexstraza for an actual discussion, Dunk, I just wanted to ask you, how was your BlizzCon experience? Because this is the first time you've gone to BlizzCon as a streamer.
Yeah, my BlizzCon experience was excellent. Like, I've been to many, many BlizzCons, but this was the first BlizzCon that I went not with like a public ticket, but also not with really having a ton of responsibilities for the event, which was a huge change of pace for me, and I had a blast. Like, at the BlizzCon the year before, I was working in the production truck for the Heroes Esports events, which was awesome, but I didn't get to walk the BlizzCon show floor at all. The year before, I was playing, so again, didn't really get to walk the show floor at all. So this year for me was amazing. I watched opening ceremony, streamed, and then I just got to hang out at BlizzCon, catch all the stuff I wanted, saw all the esports I wanted to watch, like check out pretty much everything. I had a blast. I was super happy with my BlizzCon experience because I actually got to experience BlizzCon, unlike when you work the show or whatever.
Yeah, no, me too, actually. Yeah.
shit.
Not for the same reasons.
How was your BlizzCon? Where did you guys watch opening ceremony?
I watched it on the Hero stage because I was playing Hero League before and after. So I just grabbed a seat on the Hero stage. You know, there's terrible like wings like all the way on the side where you can't really see a screen and your view's terrible. There were enough open seats there to where it was like actually comfortable to sit there.
I watched it from the Heroes area, but I watched the first bit from the Heroes seating area itself, and then I went back to the streamer station, which was right behind the Heroes stage where the Heroes play area was, and I watched the finals of the opening ceremony from there. So I could turn my stream on afterwards, since I was the first time slot.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, this is like the first year where I think this is my 5th BlizzCon, and I went to the main stage. I love that song. I went to the main stage to watch it, and this is the first year where I think I regretted being at the main stage, because they changed the format where not necessarily all the announcements are made at the main stage, and you can still get the same or similar experience at the individual stages. And this is almost like a pro tip to anyone that goes to a future BlizzCon. Just go to the community that you are the part of. So go to the hero stage. Next year, I will go to the hero stage and watch it there, because the main stage is great. I think you'll
be disappointed.
Really? There wasn't a lot of people there?
No, it was packed right now.
At the Heroes area?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of people there.
It wasn't packed. It was like maybe 80% full. Like there were a lot of people, but the announcements still weren't very hype.
Oh, compared to So the thing
compared to last year, even at the main stage.
The main stage is you have to get in line basically hours early, wait, and then charge to go get just sprint to get a seat. I watched it with Dreadnought and his brother actually, and we were deep. We were in the depths, man, and we went early too. But it was still really cool. I think the best part, in my opinion, was the WoW cinematic. Like, don't get me wrong, the Hanzo Alex video was cool. Yeah, but that WoW video slayed everything.
The Hearthstone dungeon left right choice, that was by far the best part of opening ceremony.
It was
fun. That was sick. I wish I had been in the Hearthstone area for when that happened.
Dunk, we actually ran into Ben Brode at one point, and we asked him. We were like, was it scripted? He's like, no, dude, that was the crowd chooses, and production was ready to go either way. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the Heroes area actually is that it felt like everyone there was a Heroes of the Storm fan, which means they're also a fan of every other game. To the point where whenever there was this cool moment in Hearthstone, a lot of people responded well. And the WoW cinematic especially was insane.
Yeah.
Seriously, that moment. So the cinematic's decent, it looks really good, everything's going well. It seems like there's a decent storyline. And then that moment where Sylvanas turns into a banshee and then screams for the Horde. Oh my. That was one of the best moments of my life.
Dude,
was so good.
My eyes immediately watered up, because when Sylvanas became the war chief, I think everyone's like, is she going to embrace the Horde? Does she actually give a shit about these other races, or is she just using the Horde because they're a strategic allegiance that makes sense for her? She's always been a backstabby kind of character, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that she truly did backstab Varian. I think there's a lot to talk about there. This is not a WoW talk show, I get that. But that moment of her embracing the Horde, all the feels, dude. All the feels.
I spoke to a lot of people, and I was like, I just got so emotional, I don't know how to explain it. And everyone knew exactly what I was talking about, because they did the same thing. A ton of people even said to me, yeah, man, I cried, straight up. That was the best cinematic I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think so. I do need to clarify, for the Alliance, motherfuckers. And PG-13 out the window. Anduin with that resurrection. He resurrected more than just those units on the field. He resurrected something else. Yep. But
the Black Forest.
Badass stuff. Super badass stuff. Honestly, I don't think I even mentioned on this show once what I was doing at BlizzCon. And if you guys didn't catch it and you still don't know, I had the opportunity to work with the Heroes esports Twitter team, basically the Heroes community team. And I would walk around and I'd interview all different kinds of players, people like Dunk Train, and cosplayers and just fans at the event. And it was such a cool experience because I've never really done that kind of content. I mean, I've done interviews before, but I've never walked around and just like been like, hey, want to do an interview because you love Heroes of the Storm kind of thing. Like that was a really fun and unique experience. But the thing to me that like blew my mind while doing that, the number of people that had HGC apparel, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe how many people at HGC, shirts, jackets, hats, everything.
See, I've got some great news for you guys, right? So those HGC things, like, instantly sold out. Like, instantly. Like,
day one
all gone.
and day two.
Yeah, day one and day two, both days. The Heroes of the Storm logo shirt, like that amazing, like, navy blue and gold, like, dragon shirt thing, that was just, like, instantly sold out all of their stock on, like, day one. Like, I could not even get one myself. I was, like, going behind the scenes, like, yo, get me one of those shirts. And they're like, we can't. They're literally all gone.
Dude, that's
so Heroes stuff sold amazingly well at BlizzCon.
Yeah. It's pretty cool to see that be the case because it's the first year of HGC. And to have a fan base show up that's truly passionate just there to watch HGC is fantastic. And having stuff sell out, well, obviously, hopefully it goes for sale online soon and you guys can pick it up at home because that was a hot commodity. But BlizzCon was a blast. I think we all had varying experiences for sure. This is one BlizzCon I'll never forget myself. But Alexstraza and Hanzo were announced along with a lot of gameplay changes, including mercenary camp changes, map timer changes, and all of that good stuff. For the gameplay changes, we are going to touch on it briefly today, but we are doing 2 shows this week, so please note that our gameplay change segment will mostly be held until 2 more days from now on Wednesday. Hanzo will also be talked about on Wednesday, but today we are going to be diving into Alexstraza a little bit to talk about initial impressions of her because she's been out for a few weeks now. I think I haven't been bold enough to pick her in Hero League. I started playing Hero League again, guys.
So proud.
Yeah, man. 8 and 2 in placements, placed in Diamond, decent. But
Value.
I don't think I'd pick her in Hero League. I see people banning her. They're like, ban out Alexstraza. But my initial impression of the hero is that without dragon form, she's not that scary. She feels like a Tyrande with a bad lunar flare in a lot of situations. And I'm curious, Bakery, how you feel about the kit that Alexstraza has.
Okay, so just straight up, gotta be honest here. I have not played Alexstraza in a real game. As I said at the start of the show, I haven't actually touched Heroes of the Storm. I haven't played Heroes of the Storm for like a decently long time now. I did play Alexstraza on the show floor, and I found her to be a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun. But I have not played her in a real game. I'm gonna actually defer to June. If anyone wants to know June's build, I actually linked it in the chat. The interesting thing I noticed from watching like Alexstraza and how it's developed is most high-level people seem to be leaning towards saying this weird Q build where you just try and stay like above 75% HP is the way to go. And most people in the community and most players that I've seen seem to be saying, let's go E build. Like that's the way to go. So definitely interesting to say the least. How about you, Dunk?
Where to start? So I don't really like Alexstraza's base kit, but we can talk about that after the talents, I guess. So this talent build that June recommends here, I think this is the kind of talent build you will see be very powerful in competitive, but this will be utilizing Alexstraza picked only only in the very specific circumstance that she's under basically no pressure from the enemy team, which is, I think, a fundamental difference from how most of your Hero League experiences or quick matches will play. Like, you will not have coordinated game states where your whole team is making sure that Alexstraza is above 75% health all the time, even as solo healer in non-competitive games. It just won't happen. So while that build, I think June points out, is strong, it's actually insanely strong if you're ahead, and if you're not being pressured, that build is insane. But otherwise, all of those talents are literally useless.
Yeah, and it also feels like a build that's gonna like thrive with like a Lucio or something, right? She wants to stay over 75% HP. However, her Qs end up damaging her. She can, of course, heal herself with some talents and with her W and such. But
I think Life Blossom is like the key talent. Like, see, I don't think this build really functions until level 7, and then at level 7, you're hopefully are healing ranged heroes, so you can actually collect the Life Blossom. I think that's kind of the point of the build, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it is.
But still, if you're not over 75% HP, like you're basically at such a huge disadvantage, aren't you?
Yeah, you're not a hero if you go this build and you're not above 75% HP. It's really, really awkward.
So you,
I hate this build. I hate this build for Hero League and such. I'm willing to believe it'll be good and competitive because you're going to draft it in situations where the enemy cannot harass you at all, cannot put pressure on your life total. But I hate this. I hate this build. And it also makes you super reliant on being in double healer, in my opinion, which is something that's even more frustrating.
The standard build, Dunk, as far as I've seen and as far as I've played, is the E build. Would you agree that is the safest way to play for Hero League and such?
I think that's the standard build, is E talent at 1 and 7 and actually move speed at 4. As much as I don't like the above 75% health talents, the move speed, the exuberance at level 4, I think is just too important because you don't have any other mobility tools in the kit, and like that amount of positioning is actually super important. And I think that's the go-to. And then Pacify at 13 is pretty much always the pick.
It's so good. It's so much better than Shrink Ray.
Yeah, Shrink Rays have always been busted in Heroes, and this is no exception. Plus, this one you can get 2 or 3 off in a fight.
That's insane.
So yeah, the value's way out there. And then if you're going Q build, obviously you take the Q icon talent here at 16. But if you're going Fire build, you go Dragon Duration.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to go that talent anyway, because that seems busted to me.
It's
9
ridiculous.
more seconds in Dragon. Like,
especially when you pair it with the Ancient Flame here. It's insane.
Yeah. Ancient Flame is so strong for E-build because every time you auto attack, you're applying the debuff and you're getting health back on each target that you hit with the Flame Buffet effect from your breath. It's like, the reason I think that the E-build is so good in Hero League is because you're very likely to get to level 20 on a lot of maps. And at level 20 with the E-build, you are probably top 5 heroes in the game, top 10 heroes in the game. Like with E-build, once you get this Dragon talent with Q-build, I don't think you're as strong at level 20. You're still good, especially if you are able to stay above 75% HP, but you're not like just ending the game when you cast Dragon form.
Yeah.
So how about the other talents at level 20, Doug? Do you think any of them are good? Any of them competitive, or just...
They're all actually, I think they're all really good. I think Blessing of the Red is going to be competitively viable, and I think Ritual of Life is going to be competitively viable. Ritual of Life is pretty ridiculous. And I think in competitive, you're going to see that be the go-to because it's essentially like if you put it on your frontliner and you're at full health, your frontliner is basically invulnerable for 6 seconds, but even better.
I think the best thing for me is they can't even kill you.
Yeah, they can't kill you.
Then you heal back. Like,
yeah, it's really insane. And then I think Blessing of the Red is going to be super viable on like Tracer style compositions where you have a hyper carry, where the 500 extra max HP is actually a huge amount of effective health pool increase, especially when you have double healer and you have armor and stuff like that. Like, that extra HP is going to prevent burst. I don't think On Ruby Wings is ever going to be picked in competitive because in my mind, in competitive, if you're going Cleansing Flame, you're probably going the E build, and that probably means that you want the Dragon auto attack applies E at level 20.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
I would say so.
For Hero League, obviously I think Lifebinder is if you're confident you're gonna get it off, it feels really good. But Cleansing Flame is like an oh shit button for her, which in a lot of cases when you're using Dragon Form, you're gonna end up using Dragon Form. You position to become a big threat from what I can tell. She is huge. Like she's like it's like a mobile molten core that does a ton of zone controlled damage and healing while in that Dragon Form. But you're also a huge target that can be body blocked incredibly easily and then just CC'd. You're not going to miss a skill shot against a giant dragon. And so Cleansing Flame, from my experience, is your way out, right? That's how you get that. Okay.
And it's a big way out because it's a global.
Pretty much, yeah. Each flame you reposition, you like recenter, and then you can drag that next circle even farther over. So if you haven't tried that yet, you can actually traverse the map using that if you really wanted to. It's not like a false dead fly in terms of duration, but it's definitely fun.
Yeah. It also doesn't mention, but Cleansing Flame's cast time is dramatically reduced if you're in Dragon Form. So if you are in Dragon Form first, Cleansing Flame no longer even really has the downside of the super long windup, which is a big risk. And like, it also pauses the duration of Dragon Form. So you drop a W as soon as you go Dragon Form, and then you Cleansing Flame, and when you come back down, your W's off cooldown, but you're still in Dragon Form, which you can't get 2 casts of Abundance in Dragon Form without using that, or without the extra duration.
It's crazy, actually, that the Dragon Form just pauses. Like, it's actually nuts for the full duration of that. So it's like, I don't know, 7-sided strikes on crack with a molten core in the middle of it. It's actually just insane. But it's interesting that like you said, and Bakery, I know you haven't played her much, but she's not gonna be like the new Rhaegar. She's not like, she has a lot of good stuff going for her, but she's gonna end up being probably not as niche as Tyrande, but still a less common support pick. If I had to guess, would you agree, Dunk?
Well, right now she's way undertuned for non-competitive play.
That's also my impression. I don't think you can make a judgment on how strong she is and what her role is just because she seems to be like way under where she needs to be to actually perform her role. So
I suspect she's going to stay undertuned because of how powerful Dragon Form is. The reality is just her kit outside of Dragon Form is not impactful. It's just not good. And they have to keep it that way because Dragon Form wins any fight that you activate it and actually get value. So I'm concerned that Alexstraza is going to basically be permanently relegated to a Tyrande-esque, like purposefully undertuned, but still sometimes viable and competitive because of really specific compositional situations, because of how her kit interacts by like costing her own health and like not really having good ways to deal with that, and then Dragon Form being so much of her power pie.
See, I see what you mean, Dunk, but going way back to obviously 2015, like Tychus's Odin used to be the exact same thing, where it's like you popped Odin, you won the fight, but then people just ran away from the Odin. So wouldn't it kind of be the same thing here, where you pop the Dragon Form and they run away from the Dragon Form, and they can actually tune around that? Whereas Ragnaros, I think, is a hero that has the exact same issue, but the solution isn't running away because his range is insane.
I
don't know.
I think part of the difference in those two is although the Odin like can siege up and you can just disengage, Alex can really heal your team back up. Like in some situations you pop up mid-fight, she can force the disengage and then throw some big heals down for the team because she throws out her E, knocks them away kind of thing, and she can be like used in a pretty meaningful way mid-fight to like recoup for your team, whereas Odin, something you initiate the fight with and then you just kind of leave, you know? So I think it's a bit different in that comparison, but I do see that as like, it is, if that's purely like your disengage and your maybe success of grabbing that tribute if they can't properly stall you, how effective is that going to be in pro play? I don't know. We'll have to see. But
you also have the mobility on the Cleansing Flame. Like if you Dragon Form and they try to disengage, it's not like Tychus where you have 0 chase potential at all. You can you actually like can fully chase, and you're actually helping your team while you do. Like you're full healing your front line while they dive the enemy team doing that. So like, I don't realistically think you can actually disengage from an Alexstraza with like a proper dive composition.
Purely because of the because of Cleansing Flame. Like, do you think if she has Lifebinder and she goes Dragon Form, it's very easy to disengage?
Yeah, it's very easy to disengage from Lifebinder Dragon Form. Yeah, like I think the two styles will be Cleansing Flame, Alexstraza with a dive composition, because the dive composition goes in and she goes Dragon Form and Cleansing Flames, and because Cleansing Flame heals for so much, you can accept really bad trades on your front line, compensate by Cleansing Flame and then the Dragon Form burst healing when you come down, and it's really hard for the enemy to disengage off that unless they have like the insane disengage tools like Void Prison or Gust. And even Gust, I'm not sure if it's enough. So it's going to be one of those situations in competitive where you like hold it for a late pick and then, oh, I can go Alex because they didn't pick up Void Prison, you know, like in my, like, that's what I suspect to see. Although if they shift the tuning away from Dragon Form, which I think is very possible, like they shifted the tuning away from Odin, then we could just see a more generalist Alexstraza.
Might suck though to have the dragon be like not very impactful.
Yeah, it's a tough line to walk. Like you want it to feel cool to go into Dragon Form, but you don't want it to be her whole kit, which is what it is now, I think.
Yeah,
I agree. But I will say the fantasy of turning into a giant dragon and feeling mega badass and then, you know, just slaying nerds with your big breaths and flapping those wings to knock nerds away, it feels cool. Unless you're walking. If you're walking, you look like you're the dragon in the movie Shrek, and you're gonna mate with a donkey. And I think there's no elegant way to make the walk look cool without make her move faster. So
wait. There is actually something pretty cool though, which is you can see the dragon's head and tail actually curve depending on how you change direction.
I'm not saying the animation isn't well done.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
but
I feel like a big lumpy
panel,
donkey mater.
On the panel, they showed it without that like head turning because it's like some new tech they implemented to like.
Oh, I see.
For, like all heroes, they showed it without that, and it looked like really bad. Like if it looks like that with this new tech, like before oh Jake, it was a bit painful, dude.
I believe you. I didn't actually see that, but I believe it. But yeah, no, she feels dope, and she's the first of the dragon aspects. If you guys had to pick the next dragon aspect to enter the game, who you choosing? Who you want? Who's your dream? Ysera, Nozdormu, Malygos?
Malygos, dude. One-shot mage.
Probably Ysera. I just like green things. I'm a healer, you know. Like there's green numbers popping out. Like I'm all about that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I want Nozdormu just because I want a global like buff hero. I want a hero that's all about buffs, not healing, but buffing or debuffing.
The one thing that did make me slightly sad actually is if you go to skins, for Alexstraza, she actually has like a bronze dragonflight tin, like a green dragonflight tin and stuff. So it's all like if you look at the dragon form for that skin, Jake, or that one. It's like, it looks like Ysera basically, but
what?
It's like Ysera colors.
Destroyer Diva also has a bunch of dragon aspect tints, which I thought was really cool. But let's talk about.
But yeah, the reason it makes me sad is it's really cool they're changing the dragon form as well, but I think that makes the imminent arrival of more dragon aspects less likely.
It'll happen eventually. It'll happen eventually. They don't have horns like that.
That's so cool though.
Learn your dragons.
I mean,
only Alex has big horns like that.
Like, I don't think they can make another dragon aspect that does that same thing.
Probably
like,
not.
You just can't have a dragon form that walks around. You can like have a dragon form as part of an animation, but it's going to basically be like Chromie, where even if they implement further dragon aspects, they're simply not going to have dragon form bodies.
Unless they have one that flaps its wings or looks distinctly different in some way.
Yeah.
I would agree that there needs to be
Well,
some kind of...
so that's what I mean, is if they were all distinct different colors, then I think you could probably get away with it. But like the fact they've got these tints now, it's like you wouldn't probably not going to see, at least not in the near future, another dragon aspect with a dragon form.
That's fairly safe to say. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, but man, do I like me some Night Elf Alexstraza.
Is that tint new on PTR? I don't remember that one from being...
there. It's there.
Oh, okay.
It might be one of the pay for with real money only skins.
Yeah, it must be. It must be, yeah.
Death Knight Alexstraza. I don't know if this is new. I don't remember this one personally. I remember this one. I don't remember the Death Knight. Yeah, man. She's got some cool skins, that's for sure. The cape, so shiny, so bug-like. On that skin, at least. She's fun. But yeah, we'll definitely talk more about her. You know, probably the next time we'll discuss Alexstraza is when HGC resumes, or when we have like some top-level players busting her out, right?
Yeah, or when there's like a big balance patch.
Yeah, if she gets tweaked, or when we see her at high-level play, we'll revisit Alexstraza. For now, honestly, the E-build is probably the way to play her if you're rocking her in your games. And I think it's really fun. I think the dragon form is really satisfying. But that's just me. So we are going to take a quick break because I gotta get water. And when we return, we're going to jump into an overview of the gameplay changes that are coming to Heroes of the Storm. And we're just going to kind of briefly touch on them. And then we're going to go into rosters. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about just pretty much the future of what we think things like the roster changes, things that the gameplay changes and stuff will bring, and what to look forward to in our next show happening in just 2 days. So much more to discuss, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few moments. See you then. What's up, everyone, and welcome back here to episode 161 of TownHall Heroes. If you missed the first half of the show, you missed some talks about Bakery's future plans. We talked about Alexstraza, and we talked about our BlizzCon experiences and our favorite moments. But we're now looking at the future of the game and the gameplay changes. And we're going to run through a bit of what there is to come. And if you haven't been following, there's quite a bit. And honestly, just general impressions when it comes to the changes to the maps, the changes to the mercenaries, the changes to the laning, and everything. In my opinion, this feels more like a true Heroes 2.0 than the actual Heroes 2.0 we got.
Absolutely. The Heroes 2.0 we got was just cosmetics, and while cosmetics mean a lot to Blizzard because it changes their monetization scheme and some players really like it, the cosmetics aren't really what drove me, and the loot boxes didn't do anything for me. So to me, these gameplay changes are a lot more impactful.
I think Heroes 2.0 was definitely them saying, like, Heroes 1.0 came out in, like, 2015 or whatever, like, June, like, no ranked system, like, Team League was, like, still 5 people, you know, like, gameplay was terrible, the heroes were terrible, like, and then gradually we got to Heroes 2.0, and, like, now we're actually going to call it that, you know, like, just to relaunch the game. Yeah. But the actual changes that we got as like dedicated players who've been here the whole time, by the time we actually hit 2.0, were not very important for our day-to-day Heroes experience. So this is like the scaling changes all over again, and hopefully they'll be better than the scaling changes. I said it.
I agree. I think it's a great way to look at it. Is yes, let's hope this does have an impact for the good. Scaling changes obviously was intended to be a huge change for the game, and fundamentally I don't think it changed the flow all that much. Whereas this theoretically could do that. To give you guys an overview of what this truly does bring. Globes used to exist for 8 seconds. A globe is destroyed from an enemy minion wave, and you can collect that within an 8-second window. The way the globes now exist is after 3 seconds, a globe becomes neutral, and then for 3 seconds it persists as a neutral globe, meaning that if you're truly dominating your lane, you can get double globes. Did they change the numbers on the globes? Do you guys know?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay, so globes are still super valuable no matter how you value them. You know, they're going to be very impactful, especially if you're doubling up. Questing talents also come into play when you have to think about that. Some heroes really can complete a quest talent early and thrive as a result, whether it be like Jaina getting ice block or whatever. Right? There's a lot of opportunities that will be changed in a lot of ways how quickly you can do something like that. Ammunition is gone. In the past, a lot of compositions, Dragon Shadow, you rotate between 2 lanes, you quickly destroy the minion wave, you let it push forward to absorb the ammo. Once the ammo starts to get low, you try to capitalize, right? It opens opportunities like that. No longer a thing. Bakery, do you think that that's going to be a healthy change for the game, removing the ammunition from the towers?
Yeah, that's a huge change. It's one that I thought about like a fair amount. Especially when just looking at like general gameplay changes. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, the dev team has been doing the exact same thing. I think it's going to be really big. Like at first it seems relatively like minor. When you think about it, you're like, I guess it doesn't change that much. But then you think the entirety of the way that you play Tomb of the Spider Queen is trying to make your opponent run out of ammo so that you can get pay-ins. That's literally it.
And is that exciting?
It's like, how does that map change? And then, how do you win a solo lane? Well, you pick Sonya, you run in, you spin on the wave, you don't take any damage in return, you don't try and trade your opponent unless it's like an Illidan.
Right.
You just clear the wave, and then you stop them clearing the wave, and then you take the ammo, and eventually you get the wall. It's like, that's really boring, actually, isn't it? You just hit the wave,
Yeah.
So, when you think about it and you see how that changes, how certain maps play, and how every single lane, be it 2v2 or 1v1, 2v3s probably don't change that much, but 2v2s and 1v1s, they change a lot. It's going to be really exciting to see how everything changes.
So I think they can hear us now. There's definitely a freak out on my PC.
Your mic is way messed up now.
Don't speak, Jake. Don't speak. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we still good, Dunk?
I think we're good. I think Jake's camera's having an issue, or his audio. Jake's mic is fine for stream. Interesting.
All of my devices are freaking out right now. Every program is changing audio devices, and I think I'm just not going to touch things again. Can stream hear you guys? I can't even see chat.
Okay, chat is saying F's in the chat. We can hear you, but you sound really messed up to us. I don't know if we sound fine to chat.
You definitely do. I'm gonna.
Okay. So you Dunk sounds fine. Jake sounds fine. Let me check if I sound fine.
We can hear and see fine.
Okay. Okay. So let's just carry on the show. Jake, try not to murder us, please. You're very loud and very distorted for us. So anyway, let's move on to the changes themselves. So we're not going to speak about performance-based matchmaking. Today, at least, we're gonna save that for the next show. The game camera height, I would say, is the next change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, game camera height's hugely impactful.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably my favorite change, personally, where it just feels really good across the board in terms of gameplay. This is kind of the new. They actually changed it for the observer too, which I've just noticed. This is the new point of view. And do I sound that bad to you guys? I feel bad. They're not, and like, seriously. Shit. Well, at least it sounds good to the stream. Can you at least understand me? Nod once if yes, they can understand.
Yeah. I think so. I think we're good.
Okay. So this is the base camera height, whereas in, you know, when it comes to esports viewing, you guys never see the base camera height because it's zoomed in too far in the old UI. In the PTR, they've actually brought it to what it is like for a player. And then you have this view, which is like the first zoom out, and then you have the mega zoom. So there's actually, like, in terms of quality of life, this is actually an update for viewing streamers, in my opinion, because the game looks nicer. It's an update for viewing tournaments because there's now another useful level that can be utilized. It's really, really quite nice.
Yeah, I think this is going to. So I think it feels good, but I think it's also going to have a way bigger impact on gameplay than people realize. Like, there's a lot of things that feel very different when you're playing on the raised camera than before. Like, Zero Tool blinks feel way less oppressive on the new camera distance because it's a significantly smaller portion of your screen. Playing Zero Tool feels way different because your blink, it's like, players are really going to have to relearn a lot of the fundamental relationships between like how far a certain amount of on-screen distance is from other heroes. So I love the new camera height, but I think it will take some getting used to.
Yeah.
So when I started playing with this new camera UI, my first game, I didn't really notice anything at all. Like I was like, oh hey, I think it's a bit more zoomed down, and then after that, I was just playing and I was chilling out, having a good time, you know. And then I played Stitches, I think, in my next game, and there were so many hooks. Every single hook I threw was like, huh, that did not go nearly as far as I thought it would. Like, because obviously I was throwing it at the edge of my screen. I was using that as one of the metrics of how I lined up the skill shot. And the edge of my screen, it wasn't even getting close to it. Yeah. So that's definitely something people will need to relearn. But I think the major thing for me actually was when I came back from BlizzCon and I played a few games like on the live pats without the changes. I didn't notice when I was playing show floor, but when I played in my bedroom after 2 games show floor, I was like, wow, like we're so zoomed in, guys. Like, what happened? You know?
Yeah. It's actually jarring going back to the old camera. Like, I think it's just nice being able to see more, like you said. But it's interesting to think about a lot of even like the skill shots, like you mentioned, you're getting used to blinks, getting used to hooks. But at the same time, if you're used to moving your mouse from the center of the screen this far to then move the screen over, if you play like that, you got to get used to moving the mouse that much further on your physical monitor to actually move towards the edge. And for me, that because that's how I like to adjust the screen a lot of the times. Was probably the only change for me that immediately was like, this takes some getting used to. But within an hour or two, I was over it, honestly. Like, it was not too bad. A few other things we can show. The next tribute. It is now indicated where it will spawn. On Cursed Hollow and objectives, they're now showing you on the minimap right here, the next tribute will exist in this location. This went live on the PTR today where it's now kind of a telegraph thing. I thought that maybe when you're playing, I think there's an actual timer that shows you like when it's going to be up. Kind of like okay, here it is, 30 seconds prior. So we already know it's going to be here via the minimap, and then 30 seconds prior, it shows us, you know, that it's coming. But it's now all consistent timings. Like the first tribute is a set timer, no longer like a 45-second interval. The boss does not spawn until 10 minutes in. Notice we're 6 minutes into the map.
Wait, what?
Still no boss.
Whoa.
Still no boss.
That's a huge change
Okay,
to Cursed
is
Hollow.
that every boss?
Just
Or is
Cursed
that
Hollow,
just
I believe.
Cursed?
Just Cursed Hollow, I believe. Yeah.
Wow.
That
I
completely
did
changes
not,
the map.
I did not know that was in the game.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy changes to these maps, a lot of small ones. You got to read over all the things, and we'll probably go a lot more in depth on these changes. We're kind of giving an overview of like what to look forward to. Wednesday, we're going to go a little bit more in depth onto like what is new. Another thing people might not have noticed, there's not a third tower here. They rolled all the stats from the additional tower into all the structures. That means the experience, the damage, the health, all of that has been wrapped into the other towers that exist. Destroying the middle wall will often break a side wall now. It doesn't break both of them, but it will break one of them, from what I can tell, which is an interesting interaction. And yeah, I mean, Blizzard has been pretty clear that they don't necessarily want to increase the game length by removing ammunition, right? So they've I think minions got a little bit of love in terms of their stats.
Yeah, minions got 10% damage and health buff, and towers do 25% less damage to minions. So it's significantly easier to push now against structures than before if you were pushing against structures that had ammo. Yeah.
And while we have this example here, we got to talk about it here. The mage minion from the night camp, this guy right here, provides an aura of basically spell armor around him.
Yeah.
So if you want to get a big push going around him and throw your medic and heal that guy up, well, guess what? That's a thing.
I think I also heard somewhere that mercenaries, like all of them, spawn 60 seconds after the game starts now, rather than being individual timers. Like, I know knights used to be 3 minutes on cursed, siege giants would be 2 minutes. Like, I think they all spawn at 1 minute now. Or at least that's what it says in the patch notes.
I can't confirm or deny. I wasn't paying close enough attention on this map here and to my games today, honestly. But I know the first camp always spawns a minute in. And siege camps and sapper camps, their trajectory is shown, and you can take 0 damage capping them now, like you used to be able to from the old siege camps. You can dodge all those boulders while you're capping them for perfect efficiency, it's also true for sappers, which is just kind of a nice, quality of life change when it comes to making the mercenary camps more interesting. Again, you can see on the mini map, this will be the next tribute. These changes are really going to change. Curse Hall is going to be a much different meta, I feel. But there was one more change. Oh, I think the Hellbats, they reduce armor.
Yeah, the Hellbats auto attacks reduce armor now.
Yeah, well, and the interesting thing is you have to think that these armor changes are not the same armor or don't apply to the same systems as the current armor. So it says attacks now apply a 3-second stacking -5 armor debuff to all targets, stacking up to 20 times. But like you can only go to -25 on a normal armor reducing thing. So that's the first reason it's weird. But the second reason it's weird is because it includes structures.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing that can reduce the armor of structures. So that is weird.
Yeah, so it's interesting because right now I think they're a merc camp that everyone kind of looks at as they're kind of maybe the weakest merc camp in the game. They always seem to do very little. Sure, they melt the minion wave quickly, but they don't actually tank that many shots. Ammunition's now irrelevant, so how are they going to be meaningful? Well, if they're massively reducing the armor of your structures, if you leave them alone, I would imagine they'll just evaporate a wall pretty quickly. Again, this just went live today. We haven't had time to go along and test this. This is all stuff we're going to revisit on Wednesday. But there's a lot of changes when it comes to the minions, the mercenaries, the globes, the way the whole laning process is going to work, the timers on all the maps. It's going to change rotations. It's going to change lane clear. Blizzard has mentioned that they intend to remove lane clear from supports, maybe all of them. So maybe Earth Bond goes away, or the Lightning Bond is taken away from Rhaegar or something, and maybe they take away Moonfire build from Malfurion. I don't know what they're going to do, right? It's something they mentioned that they're looking at as a way to reduce some of the prominence of supports. And if minion waves do that much more damage to structures now, and if mercenary camps do that much push, lane clear is possibly going to be even more meaningful than ever before. It might be a even more important thing you draft for in the future. So the way that the lanes are going to work, it's going to be, I think all the teams are probably starting to scrim now that the PTR is live, and they're just figuring it out too. So it's going to be a big shift in that regard. But there's way more than just these map changes and regen globes and structures. We've got
my former teammate in the chat flaming me. So I was just talking about -100 armor being insane. Well, apparently it's because you can go up to +75. I'm not 100% how this works, but I thought if you stacked Sylvanas Mark plus Tyrande Mark or something, it would still cap out at only reducing 25. But I might be wrong. It could reduce more than that. Anyway, applying to structures is interesting.
Yeah. Also, we haven't covered stealth changes at all, which are
Right.
going to be like a pretty fundamental shift for the game. Overall, I am a little worried how all of this coming out will affect the game. It'll be interesting.
So let's just kind of go over it. They made it so the game design philosophy from the Heroes team is they don't want stealthies to feel like an eye check, right? That's just kind of like they don't want it to be like, can I see the shimmer and respond properly when I play against this hero? Because is that a compelling thing? No. So they're like, okay, we want them to be, they're still going to be stealth. They're going to be easier to see. Now they've got like that, almost like a white, murky like outline, or not murky the hero, but like murky look, like murky water outline on all the heroes, and they're pretty damn easy to see. But they've also given every hero a little bit more in theory to deal with that. And I was playing against Nova. I didn't actually read all of Nova's changes myself. It seems like she can not only reactivate cloak, but then assume the body of a clone and like drop a clone exactly where she is, and then kind of like teleport forward to where a clone location is. That's what it seemed like was happening. But it's definitely, I mean, again, I this is literally based off one game where I was like, I could have sworn that was the right clone. But she can definitely activate cloak on her own will. There's still benefits to cloak. You're not on the minimap. You can't be targeted by point click or auto attacks. So they need some kind of AoE to reveal you and then, you know, knock you out of stealth. But it's very different. And I think the fantasy of being Zeratul and not looking like a Dark Templar stealth is definitely a little weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bakery, do you think it's a good thing? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I like the stealth changes. So I got really confused by the story I just heard about never swapping places with her clones.
I could be wrong, right?
I started looking at talents, and there's nothing even close.
Yeah.
Well, okay, she has an active to instantly cloak and leave a hollow decor at your feet.
Okay,
so that's what you were noticing.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Wait. What's the active? Oh, is that just on her trait now?
It's new Ghost Protocol. It's not her trait. It's just an active. If you're looking at the talent, I mean at the PTR notes.
Yeah.
It's called Ghost Protocol.
Where is it?
I'm trying to find it.
Assassin Nova abilities, last one, just new Ghost Protocol.
It says new Protocol 1. It has new in front of it. Let me show it to the stream.
Oh, see, I'm looking at the hero in the game, and it's just not there.
Oh, and the PTR?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the collections tab where it doesn't show.
Weird. Yeah. It's literally not even a talent.
Yeah, it's not a talent. You just get it baseline.
Oh, it's just baseline. That's confusing that it says that 1 there. I perceive that as level 1. So it's part of her trait. It's just not, the tooltip's not updated. But gives her 0.5 seconds of unrevealable, and she leaves a clone. And when she's the other thing with stealth, though, is when you stand still for a full second, you become truly invis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
I don't know. I think that's the thing about the new stealth changes. Is when I was playing at BlizzCon and seeing what the stealth changes were, that something definitely felt off. Like it felt like they weren't really stealth. It felt like they were just moving slightly faster, and still very clearly visible, and I couldn't click on them even though I knew they were there, so it felt weird. But I think ever since the inclusion of the stand still you go invisible and some of these really cool new talents that I didn't quite know were there and like I didn't see used as effectively, like the Ghost Protocol, and like Valera having teleport by default, like Samuro being able to actually choose where his Q goes now. I think I'm actually really excited. I think the stealth heroes are going to be much more interesting to play with. But the interesting thing for me is they looked fun to play against.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually fun to play against Samuro for me.
I mean, just going over a few things with Nova that are just like fundamentally like different. Again, you can see her move speed here. She goes into stealth. and then she actually just baseline gets a 15% movement speed, so she goes to 115. So that's like
Your
again,
overlay is messed up, Jake.
oh, how about now? Got him. So yeah, see up to 15% additional movement speed on Nova when your cloaks. There's an old level 1 talent they wrapped into her kit. You can run up and drop that Ghost Protocol like you mentioned, and it's just kind of like snap right there. But you can also use that when you're not in stealth. So I'm not stealth. Boom, I am. Now there's a clone right there, and that's kind of why I was juked by that guy. Maybe he like hit one and knee at the same time because you're dropping 2 clones at once, basically, which is pretty interesting. It's just like, oh, where's the real one? Like, it's a pretty cool way of doing it and throwing your opponents off. So that's just Nova, though. I mean, every stealthy got something new, more or less.
I think someone in the chat actually just nailed my thoughts, which is new stealth is more skilled overall. It's less frustrating for lower level players and people who don't like understand what's going on, and it's much easier to balance for people that do understand what's going on. So it's kind of nailed like everything I would want a stealth hero to nail, to be honest. Maybe some of the individual heroes haven't translated very well. Like I think Valera's kind of standing out to me as one that maybe isn't going to be that great.
Is she the newest stealth hero? I think she is.
I think
She's
so.
newer than Samuro? I think she is, yeah. So maybe they like thought she was in a better spot or something than the other ones and didn't have any love to give her, or I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty big change though for the game. I think Samuro's feels really good when he does it. And again, you get this nice shimmer when you pause. Give you that little effect on the side. Super subtle, but it means you can't be revealed before that time. Well, you can't be revealed, you're just completely invisible. And of course, you will. I mean, it's still. I mean, again, they're trying to make the heroes less frustrating for new players. It seems like that's a pretty apparent goal for them. But you're still gonna have those Zeratul that like just sit there in the mid lane for like a good 5 minutes and wait for someone low to walk by and just like shoop. Bronze League heroes, boys, make sure he's got a positive ratio at the end of the game. His team might lose, but he's gonna look good.
Yeah.
Cool. So stealth changes. Anything else you guys want to talk about that? Like any other specifics that stand out to you? The new Zeratul heroic. Any thoughts on that?
The new Zeratul heroic was a really big concern for me when we were looking at the BlizzCon build, but I think it got like super nerfed from what we saw it.
Yeah.
It used to benefit from talents, and now its damaging abilities deal 50% less damage and doesn't benefit from talents. So like realistically, I don't think people are ever going to take it over Void Prison now that it's super nerfed. But I'm not
just
sure.
Like it's like a bad rewind, right?
Well,
It's like benediction, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
but as a
it's
heroic,
like a
so-
it's like a bad benediction. Yeah.
I still think, I don't know, it feels pretty valid to have like a built-in follow-through. Like it just gives you follow-through and then it gives you benediction. And like Zeratul as a hero might need some, I don't know how significant his tuning changes have been so far, but he might need potentially more. Like base stat changes, damage value changes. Because if you pick him with Void Prison, he's going to be doing a lot less damage. And if you pick him to be that combo assassin with the Nerzium, then he's probably also doing less damage. And he wasn't picked right now, so he definitely might need some numbers changes. But in terms of direction, I think we could see a situation where Zeratul is picked with both heroics.
That's fair. Rest in peace, Shadow Assault. No one liked you. The other PTR changes we'll go over whatever's relevant in the upcoming weeks or this upcoming show in just 2 days, and we'll dive into Hanzo at that point. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be playing a fair bit of the game. I think Dunk will probably be playing a fair bit as well, just to like assess this. We'll pick Bakery's brain as well, just to like kind of see how everyone feels about the globes in the 6 second window versus 8. 3 seconds you can steal it. Is it going to change the actual draft meta? Is double support going to remain dominant? I have no. It's really hard to tell. But having a dominant solo lane in some maps is going to become a really critical part of the game. Is making sure that you don't just outright lose a lane, because I feel like it could get snowbally in some situations if you're just being completely zoned away from those globes, and that's a good thing in my opinion. Right.
The most important thing about these changes are going to be like answering the questions of what does this mean for rotations,
right?
Like rotation maps. What does this mean for formans? What does this mean for solo lanes? Like all of those three questions are going to be like the big ones that determine how the meta changes. And of course, whenever we do anything in competitive, that trickles down into Hero League. Like, for example, around a year ago, probably slightly more now, the European and Korean teams kind of independently developed their own ideas of how you push level 1, like let's say pushing towers, instead of zerging down mids. Well, that's something that popped up in Hero League, I would say maybe 6 months ago. And that's something that popped up on Blackheart's Bay with people doing 4 people bot, like 1 person top, stuff like that. So there is definitely going to be trickle down. How quickly Hero League adapts is an entirely different question.
Yeah.
To what's the actual best meta. So.
And again, there's so many variables: the timings of objectives, the timings of mercenary camps, the lack of ammunition, and the way that's really going to shake the game up, I think is going to be a big deal. So be open-minded when you're going in your games. If somebody's rotation seems a little bit weird or whatever, if you're playing a Masters or Silver, it doesn't matter. The game is going to have a different flow in a lot of ways. It's still going to be the same game. Don't get me wrong, but there's going to be a lot of different optimal timings for certain things that people are going to be figuring out and getting used to with all of this. And some heroes may fall off. I mean, I noticed that they're like buffing the Locust on Abath. They're giving it more health and stuff to try to make him not suffer too much from the lack of ammunition existing, because a lot of things like General of Hell or Locusts primarily benefited from helping absorb the ammunition and then get the value of the push slowly once that ammo's gone, right? And you know, I'm sure Blizzard will have to do more fine-tuning over time as well to get, you know, certain heroes and certain elements right with this big change. But I think it's really, really exciting and really good for the game, and I'm pumped. But you guys good to move to rosters?
Yep.
That was a pretty ready nod, Dunk Train. We're gonna start with Europe, because Rosterpocalypse, if you guys have not heard the term, you must be new to the scene. It seems to happen pretty much after every split, right? After every world event, there's a shakeup with the rosters. It is imperative that I point out that this information is not necessarily all final. It's more or less what we think we know, but the rosters don't actually finalize their rosters until later this week. So HGC has a strict deadline. Bakery, when is it? Tomorrow?
Today or tomorrow, I don't remember exactly, but then Blizzard, of course, then have to approve, make it sure everything's signed off, get people onboarded into the league, and then at that point, I think you have to announce the roster. There's no reason not to. Everything's signed, stuff like that. Obviously, what Jake's saying is that this is all semi-official. It's like kind of a reliable source confirming it. But of course, it's not necessarily the official announcement's gone out. Stuff may still change, and there are things that have not been even hinted at that that are going to happen.
Right.
So still a lot of room on these roster changes.
Just also good to mention that some teams like Dignitas and Fnatic have announced their new rosters. I think it's safe to say with organizations like that yes, those are pretty much like set in stone. Even though Blizzard might not have officially signed off on it, I'm sure they've talked to Blizzard to get the go ahead. So some of these rosters have been announced by the org, and then some of these are basically speculation or based on Twitter or whatever. But here's basically the lay of the land from what we know when it comes to looking at Europe. Fnatic announced they're going to be going forward with Squacknix, Smexy, Breeze, and then they're picking up Bad Benny, and then Mene, from Dignitas, which was a direct trade with Wubby from Fnatic to Dignitas. Dignitas has JPL, Snitch, and Zalia will be filling Bakery's shoes as the support for the team, and they picked up Wubby and Polk. I cannot say his name. I'm not going to get it right. From what we know about Expert, it's ADRD, Nick, Thero, and Curson. Right? From what we know about Zealots, Zarmany, Mopsio, and Shad, and rumors came out today that Schwimpy is now going to be on Zealots.
Okay. So Shad actually announced on his Twitter yesterday, possibly the day before, that he is no longer the melee assassin player for Zealots. So we do not know where he is going.
Okay.
Something else to keep in mind, guys, not related to this specific change, but the way that the rosters worked is you had to kick everyone by a certain date, and then you had to pick everyone back up again. So in theory, there was no reason not to kick like 3 players and then pick up the same 3 if you were keeping the roster and like potentially change them.
Right.
So keep in mind, some people that left teams might actually just go back to the same teams. Sounds a bit weird, but
right. So, you know, honestly, I made this graphic and I never updated the title. It says confirmed HEC Europe roster design. It's totally not confirmed at all. So again, we just got to keep throwing that disclaimer out there because this is kind of like what we know. Tricked. I haven't heard a whisper of what's happening. That's just what we. That's last.
The one
roster,
thing
right?
we do know is Alex has said multiple times that he is not leaving Tricked.
Okay.
So, Alex probably not gone.
Team Liquid did put out a roster update. They will have Hasselhoff, Splendor, Nurox, Sport Billy, and Eternal. That will be the new Team Liquid. Diamond Skin, Nande, and Wolf Joe, as far as we know, are still with them. After that, I actually have no idea what's happening. And then Leftovers, I don't think they were given the opportunity to make any changes as they came in from the open division with Linked, Blitney, that's how you say his name, Potabos, Lauber.
Lakitny, Potibos, Lauber, and DAB, which originally stood for Dota is better, but obviously that had to be changed as she enters the HCC.
Thank God we have a European to translate for us. But again, this is you know, obviously there's already errors on this graphic right here. This is kind of a glimmer. I mean, you can look at you can look at Dig, Fnatic, and Liquid, and Leftovers, those 4 as final. And I should like give them a green border or some shit. They're good to go. The other 4 teams, we still don't know. There's empty holes. We don't know where a lot of players are going to land. There's a lot of talented players in the EU scene that. Are they retiring? Are they trying to find a new team? Yada, yada, yada. Moving to North America.
Wait. Hang on. Are we talking about the rosters we already know about? Because there's a lot of stuff to talk about with Fnatic, Dig, and Liquid.
All right. You want to go? Let's do it. Let's talk about
Are we doing this Wednesday or are we doing this now?
We can do it now. I think this makes more sense to me now. The teams that we know.
Okay, so Fnatic, the Swedish boy band, has disbanded. Team Dignitas, the core 4 that stood for 2 years, has also been broken up. Mene swaps to Fnatic in place of Swimpy, who is, we don't quite know where yet. Wubby comes back to Dignitas, returning from his stint on Fnatic to where he originally started winning stuff on Dignitas. Poilk moves from Zealots up to Team Dignitas. Zalia swaps to support. So these changes are like kind of insane. Like I don't think
it's big.
Anyone saw these coming. Oh, also Bakery retires. Yeah,
Bakery retires. Let's talk a little bit about Dig first, just with the new Dig squad. Zalia is actually a former support player in World of Warcraft Arena. So he's actually, you know, I saw him tweeting about this. He's actually pretty excited to be moving into that role, to fill the shoes of, you know, your former position. And then how do you feel Poilk is going to do joining this team? Well, he's obviously played with these guys like Snitch and he's played with JPL in the past, but Poilk is new to the squad completely.
Yeah, so Poyok and Snitch are actually really close. They hang out all the time. They grind Hero League all night together. Yeah, it does sound a bit suspect, and it might be, but they're probably just good friends, guys. So I wouldn't start that rumor. Poyok is known to most of the high-level players in Europe as probably the most mechanically gifted player, possibly in the entire scene, but definitely the best new player, completely new talent. Only started playing the game around a year ago, I think now. So definitely a very strong player, and he's going to be filling Mene's role. And the reason this is going to work much better for Team Dignitas's hero pools is that Mene was a hard carry player who could only play hard carries that were mages and possibly Greymane. So when the meta shifted, we had Snitch, whose fantastic skill set was mainly in flexing, and being able to play almost any hero he picked up at a competitive level. He had to be playing the hard carries like Valor and Greymane and stuff like that, because Mene's hero pool didn't fit that. Now swapping that out for Poyok, he plays the mage hard carries and he plays the auto attack hard carries, which means Snitz can go back to playing the flex heroes, the soaking heroes, obviously the second supports, which Snitch did play sometimes, but most of the time did not. Wobby, of course, filling the solo lane role, very similar to Zelia. You can argue this is a definite upgrade in some aspects, because Wobby is a more experienced player and probably slightly better in lane. But this honestly shouldn't change much at all. Wobby is a definite upgrade, but probably 1% to 8% upgrade. Really not a big deal. Now Zelia swaps to support, and this is the change that I'm personally most interested in, but I am a bit biased. Because I am obviously a support main. So Zelia is Zelia is super motivated most of the time. And he's not young, but he's very young at heart. He's actually 24 or something, but he's got a lot of drive, and he's very he's got a lot of energy, man. The guy's a bit weird, to be honest with you. But I think he'd actually make a really good support player if he nails down what the goals are.
If he could play Karazim, that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking at the Dig roster, and I'm thinking, I think they upgraded, and I think Fnatic and Liquids stayed the same or downgraded. So this is for me the clear favorite of all the teams so far.
I think I would agree. I'm super interested to see Mene playing the environment with Fnatic, because how is that gonna work? With him and Quack, what's the role identity gonna be? Who is gonna be the hyper carry in this situation? Bad Benny, I think, is a really talented player, and I think seeing Bad Benny and Mene, like you said, this used to be the Swedish boy band. It used to be five Swedes. They found each other. These guys were all over the place, and once those 5 Swedes joined together, they saw success. Right? Blizzcon last year, some of the most amazing games we've ever seen from any team brought to us from the Fnatic squad that we had all 2017. And I mean, naturally, with Shrimpy and Wubby gone, this shakes things up quite a bit. But I think there's definitely some big potential there as well. As for Team Liquid, the only other big team, I think they just needed change. Will Sport Billy and Eternal be the magic ticket for them reclaiming the top 3 over Expert? Is it going to be enough to beat Fnatic and Dig? I don't think so. Will it be enough to compete with Expert? To be determined, right? I think that's just...
We don't know what Expert's roster is, so...
Well, that's a good point. But I think it's going to be an interesting position. But I think I agree in terms of Dig and Fnatic remaining the top contenders, regardless of these changes.
So the interesting thing that you have to keep in mind when looking at Team Liquid and also Fnatic is the reasons why teams make roster changes are not the reasons why you think teams make roster changes. The data that they have and what goes into their decision making is much more in depth than anyone outside the team and even from other teams can see. So Team Liquid, that roster had to change because of some of the reasons mentioned in Cracknix's fantastic tweet longer. Which I did link in the stream, so you can check that out. It's a very lengthy read, but it's a lot of insight, and it's very cool if you're into that thing. So Liquid had to change. In terms of changing, I think they went complete side grade. They got 2 strong players to make up, and I don't think they lost any flexibility during that transition. So Liquid definitely keeping a solid roster, but is it enough to put them back over Expert? Well, we'll have to see like what the Expert roster is, if Tricks are now competitive, if Zealots are now competitive. There's a lot to talk about. So when looking at Fnatic, same things apply, where I think the roster had to change. And when it changes, the reasons they brought in Mene are not related to in-game. If you look at this and you have no context and you think, hang on, Cracknix and Mene are probably the 2 best players with the 2 smallest hero pools when you look at them in isolation. And yes, that's true, and yes, that creates issues, but then you look at it as in Cracknix and Mene are super close and super synergized, and then you think, okay, well, does that outweigh the issues they're going to have with hero pool? In their eyes, it does, so they're going to make the change, and then we're going to see how that works. Obviously, Bad Benny coming in to fill the melee role because Wubby left is another good pickup. So it's another role swap. It's very similar to what Dignitas did with Zelia back at the start of 2017. So we'll see how that goes.
I think that's the way we got to look at it. Like, honestly, it's just a matter of seeing who meshes with who. At the end of the day, you can talk about individual talent, but oftentimes this is a team game, and if there's any lapse in communication, if there's any struggles with different dialects or language barriers, it's always things you have to think about. You know, accents can be a problem. If it's an issue once in a game, that one time where you misunderstood or didn't properly hear your teammate, that could be an issue, which is why I always found it interesting, you know, to see something like Fnatic be a full Swedish team, right? That, like, you know, and Swedish people in general tend to have really good English, right? And generally speaking, in a lot of European teams, they speak English. Like, I think it's pretty common to either speak English or Russian, if I'm not mistaken, right? Those were like some of the, at least in the early days, I remember talking to players what language their comms were in. But, you know, that's always a variable too. There's so many different things that come into play, especially with the Europe scene. But again, we're gonna keep you guys up to date on this. This is a semi-confirmed list. As far as we know, Leftovers, Team Liquid, Dignitas, Fnatic, those are the only teams that are actually final, based on them actually giving announcements in Leftovers coming from the open division. Who speaks Russian? Probably no one anymore. But once upon a time, there was a team, damn it. But we're gonna move on to North America, where we have some updates there, and you're gonna notice right away that 8th spot is a big question mark, because if Lagif implodes, the spot should go to imported support, the other team from open division. And honestly, I don't see Lagif returning. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. We need to point out this list is in a way worse situation than our Europe list. We've actually had announcements from the European list. This list, we really only know Heroes Hearth, Team Freedom, Roll20, and Tempo Storm. So I guess it's similar. Four teams.
Yeah.
The other teams take it with a grain of salt. It says Aka K1 Caffeine. We just know they're not leaving or going to a different team yet, right? We don't actually know the state of this with Jason, Casanova, and Equinox. We don't know the state of Superstars for real. We just know that some people have jumped ships. For example, let's start with just the new blood. Heroes Hearth, Crowan, Arthlon, McIntyre, BBJ, Ishbu. Everyone has known that. They earned their spot through the Crucible. Congratulations. Awesome stuff. Moving up one spot, Team Freedom. It looks like they picked up Yoda and Lutano to go with Zugrug, Collusion, and Nazmas. And Lutano, in my opinion, is one of the young, like more like standout young blood players in North America. And I think I really like this Team Freedom squad a lot personally.
Yeah, I think they probably look good. The problem is, like, I know a lot of people think Cure is super good, and so losing Cure, we don't know how much that's going to affect Team Freedom's internals. Like, I don't know how much of their comms are going through who. I don't know who their shot caller is. I was under the impression Cure was their shot caller.
I think you might have been, but I think...
So, like, if you lose your shot caller, that's, like, actually pretty devastating if you don't have a strong comms team to pick it up again. So, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. I think Yoda and Lutano are both really talented players. As like we said,
saying Nazmus or Zugrug. Okay.
Oh, for shot calling.
Yeah. I'm not sure who I heard it from, so I don't remember.
People in chat are saying that Nazmas is now melee. For some reason I thought Lutano actually did some shot calling as well. I know he's like a newer player to the pro scene, but I thought he actually did some shot calling. Maybe he does drafting. I'm not sure which. But that's definitely like it's going to feel like a pretty different team, like without Cure. But Cure even then was only there for the one phase, right? Cure got brought in after Dorm. He was there for the one phase. He definitely is looked at a more valued player, especially as like, kind of like a rising star in a lot of ways, because he's very new, but he's also had like really good results for being so new. Putting him in the mix with Justin Buds, Goku, and Dainsky as Roll20. No longer having Glau, and Prismat has retired from competitive play, right? I don't think he's looking for a new team. I'm pretty sure Prismat is done. Glau is moving up to Tempo Storm, as you can see here, the new Roll20. In a lot of ways, people love to talk about Glaurung, right? Not only is he a big figure in the scene, but he for a long time, he played a lot of Flash Heroes. Since then, we've seen him playing Brightwing and Medivh, right? Like a lot of Brightwing, a lot of Medivh, kind of like a second support utility hero for the team in a lot of situations. And I feel like, these transitions for the team aren't going to make them seem like a huge different squad for Roll20. They're still going to have a pretty similar play style at the end of the day.
Just a quick note about Prismat. I'm under the impression he's currently a free agent and is looking for a new team.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything about him retiring.
I didn't either, but I just kind of perceived it that way for some reason. But that's on me, right? So again, take everything with a grain of salt here tonight, because this is all just kind of like,
It's
I look at
confirmed.
Right. Well, people are asking in chat, what about Jay Shrite? Jay Shrite moved from South America. Now he's living up in Canada, if I'm correct, which makes him eligible as a player for North America, akin to Arcaner, and Robodoba, I think, is also in the UK now. So
Robodoba not yet. He's
not
working on that visa process. Don't think he's got one yet, but when he does get one, he is going to be coming to the UK as well. I think Arcaner, he heavily hinted that he was on a HTC roster. And my personal take on that is that Arcaner is actually sick as a player.
Yeah.
So he's definitely deserving of being potentially like even a top 4 HTC team.
And if you guys aren't familiar with Arcaner and Robodoba, they're actually two of the best players out of Australia and New Zealand. And they, again, Arcaner's already in the UK. He's the one that went to DreamHack Sweden, basically dropped out of college to make sure he could go to that tournament and then said screw it, and then moved to the UK immediately after. Like, this guy's got passion, nothing but passion. In fact, I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna reach out and get Arcaner on this show soon, because I would love to have him on here to hear his story, because I think he's got one of the cooler stories in the whole scene. So look forward to that in the future. He really is an amazing guy as well. But back to North America, Tempo Storm. What do you guys think of the new team? Caterpillar, Junfen, Glaurung, and Psalm.
It's the super team, baby. They're going to be scary. I think the major thing for me is we're looking at Caterpillar, who has played Reigns Flex, and then 3 others who have played Reigns Flex, and also 3 that have played Melee Flex.
I mean,
have they announced who their primary tank player is?
It's got to be Cattle.
I assumed it was Cattle, but I wasn't sure if
the primary flex. They are trying with Glaurung as the primary ranged, Psalm as the flex ranged, and Fan is the main ranged, I think.
But Cattle's a tank,
and
right?
Obviously June, and Cattle tank, and obviously June support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Cattle was a tank once upon a time, and Fury's been the main tank for a while now. But I always thought Cattle was a fantastic tank. Obviously, it's bittersweet seeing the team break up. This means Cawthon and Fury are no longer Tempo. They'll be finding themselves in new teams, I would imagine. We can look at the vacancies that already exist. We don't know what's going to happen with GFE. We don't know where a Space Station and Superstars are as well. And
wait, what did I just say on stream? And why is chat really upset with me? What did I call Glau?
I think
did I say
main range?
range?
You said main range for Glau.
I said Glau was main range.
I think you did, yeah.
Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. I do know Glau was supposed to be melee, because in that case I said there were 3 main range.
I think you also said Cattle was main range in your initial statement as well. So
did I just say
I think I was a little confused. So it's we know that you just got home from the Nexus games and you're also exhausted. I'm just going to interject really quickly and ask you, how is that chocolate pizza?
Oh, it was absolutely terrible. It was honestly the worst it's the worst thing you could even imagine. It was dripping, it was rich. It was still wet, and then it was actually just like a normal pizza with a rough, crumbly, dough. Jesus Christ. It was absolutely abysmal.
I love how the pizza box says only 100% mozzarella, and there's not a piece of mozzarella on this pizza. It's pepperoni, pizza dough, and chocolate. You described it as wet. I don't know if there's a more repulsive adjective you can affix to a chocolate pizza as wet. Oh.
Here's the real question. Why did you order that?
It was only £4. But funny story, right? So we're in the hotel lobby, and 4 different absolute strangers, we had no idea who they were, came and were like, "What is that?" in an English accent, of course. What is that? And we're like, "It's a chocolate pizza,"
Is that what makes Leicester the worst city you've ever been to? Just the pizza?
The chocolate pizza was the big contributor. But no, I have some weird stories from Leicester, to the point where there was obviously illegal substances go. There was weird, potentially bedroom-themed game go. There was domestic abuse case outside the hotel.
Oh, good.
There were
everyone's favorite.
There were people in far too little clothes, and a lot of them just walking around on weekday evenings, not even nights.
Okay, I'm never going to Leicester. Good to know.
Wait, are we done with Rosterpocalypse? Because
I just wanted to shove that in there. I mean,
okay, nice.
I guess
we can get back to it now. So as I was saying, Glaurung's the main range, Caterpillar's the main range. June, he's probably on support.
I don't see June moving. It's going to be interesting to see this team, you know, as it exists. Because like you said, like there was a point where Glaurung was like a Kerrigan and a Zeratul and like Stitches, and definitely he plays a lot of Medivh and like it's kind of like the full flex with a lot of second supports and stuff right now. As long as double support is in the meta, I expect it to be the same for Glau. You know, Fan as the main range, Psalm as the melee flex solo laner. I think that's what we should expect to see here with the team, and Cattle moving to tank. Do you guys have any guesses as to like, is it going to be like Fury and GFE? You think that makes sense, or is it just up in the air?
So there's some high profile names flying around. So Prismaticism, main range, or flex ranged at first, but main range I think at the end for Fury, the best tank from North America, quite arguably for most of 2017. Kothon, who's been the flex for Tempo Storm for like 2 years, and they were the best team in a lot of times. So there is a lot of names who don't currently have teams. And we're looking at Gale Force, and we're not sure how many are leaving. We're looking at Space Station, we're not sure how many are leaving. Superstars as well, of course. Heroes, Arthur, Locks. And then all of the names from Lagef, who I said at the last roster change period, I said, the names on Lagef, they're fantastic individuals, but it's not working out. I want to see the team disband and all of their players go somewhere else. Well, it looks like that's what's happening, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I know that there is more movement, but I can't really talk about anything.
Oh, you know the secret scene. I almost called you Zuna because I read Zuna. I did call you Zuna, in fact, not almost. Dunk knows the secrets, but we're not going to make him spill those because don't want to make him betray the trust of friends. He's part of that.
Is it me lagging, or did Jake just cut out?
That's Jake. Jake's going down, boys.
Uh-oh.
Difficulties. For some reason, my audio devices just went haywire. I lost complete mic and audio and everything. They were just gone. So anyways, we were apparently Duncan Baker, you guys said you guys were actually still talking to the stream. What were you guys talking about?
We were just talking about the impact of changing players out depending on who's doing drafting and shot calling, and how that can dramatically affect a team's performance outside of individual player skill before you even start talking about synergy and whatnot in the actual team in-game play. Like, there's a lot of external factors to consider, which is always the biggest concern when looking at team player swaps.
I think the biggest thing for me is looking at that tempo roster is there are a lot of personalities. Cattle, Fan, Glaurung, Som. Those are 4 big personalities. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? You can manage that. People can work together. Everyone wants to win at the end of the day, so you definitely can manage that. But you need to be skilled, and you need to be on top of that, because things can go very wrong very quickly in a team like that. So my main thing for Tempo Storm is they're going to have a honeymoon phase, and they're going to smash everyone, is my prediction. If they start dropping off, like, very quickly even, or like even very slowly after a honeymoon phase, that's like a big concern, and it's going to be really interesting to see like how they deal with it. So that's the big thing for me, but I do think if managed properly, that should be the best team in North America.
You really think so? Tempo Storm, the God Squad is real. You believe they're going to be the kings. I think I would welcome that. And I'm not actually going to make any judgments until we see all the different rosters. I'm personally most interested to see where Heroes Hearth lands. I think they have the potential to be a top 4 team with all these changes happening. Apparently my base is turned up to 11 and this Duncan Baker is, what if I talked like this? Is it?
I don't know if it sounds right to the stream, but to us, Jake actually sounds like he's a whale. Like the way his voice sounds, he actually sounds. He's a huge sea mammal that's like talking out of the ocean, dude. It's weird.
It sounds like Morpheus or something, but like it's like seriously, it's so deep. Like
so deep, so deep. So clearly, when I relocated my PC and updated all my drivers, something went terribly wrong. I'm sorry, Duncan Bakery, that you have to put up with this. And I'm sad the stream can't hear it, and I'm sad that I can't replicate this for everyone else to hear the terrible audio that is my mic that's happening today. On that note, we promised we're going to do 2 shows this week, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to wrap things up here. Wednesday, we will be back at our normal time at 6 p.m. Eastern to basically go in deeper into the gameplay changes. We're going to take a first look at Hanzo, who isn't actually out yet. He comes out next week, but we're still going to take a look at him and his kit and kind of some expectations for how he might compare to some of the other similar heroes like Vala, Rosterpocalypse. Any updates that do come out between now and then, we'll update our graphics here, update our list, and bring you guys all up to speed with the finalized rosters and all that good stuff. And you know, maybe a bit of a Nexus Games preview segment from Bakery. We'll see if he's up to it. But there's definitely a ton to discuss, you know, and I'm glad we got a show in together. I know I sound ridiculous to you guys, so I'm gonna stop talking. Bakery, any shout outs, man?
So honestly, I'd like to give a shout out to literally everyone, but especially Team Dignitas, Blizzards, Odie, Meth, Calaris, Dreadnought, Snitch, and all my former teammates. Going all the way back to ADRD, Zarmony, Theo Angel, Wubby, JPL, Mane, and the newest recruit, of course, Zalia, and Alex the Purgy. Every player that I've ever played against, in practice, tournament, like whatever, like honestly, I just wanna shake your hand, and I wanna say, like, well played, GG, and like best of luck, in your future journey. Thanks for watching the show, everyone, and tune in on Wednesday. There's more to come.
Dunkel.
Unlike Bakery, I don't have.
Does it sound that bad?
It sounds pretty absurd, and the fact that you just said Dunkel, but like normally that sounds funny, but now it just sounded especially outlandish. It's actually a tragedy that you guys can't hear this on stream. It's amazing. Anyway, unlike Bakery, I don't have an entire quarter of the HGC competitor population to thank, but shout outs to subs and viewers and everyone who catches my content. And I'll be streaming this week, of course, after Town Hall today, and then also after Town Hall on Wednesday, and then we'll see. It'll be Thanksgiving.
For me, I mean, I'm just glad we got a show in together. Holy shit. Oh, I'm so happy that we were able to get a show in together. In Bakery, thanks for all the amazing games of the years, man. I mean, it's going to be sad to see you not playing in the next phase of HGC. It really is, but you know, I'm glad we're gonna have you around regardless in the hero scene, and I'm excited to see all these new rosters, you know, flesh out. You know, Town Hall will again have another show on Wednesday. I'm back to streaming full time, so I'll be streaming a lot on the Solid Jake channel. I've been playing. I actually started playing Hero League again, and I'm back in Diamond. So yay! I'm actually gonna try to hit Masters because I never gave Hero League a serious chance because I'm too lazy and I just like to play the heroes I like to play. But I figure it's about time I just go ahead and make that grind to Masters and maybe GM. Who knows? I know I can do it. It's just a matter of actually putting forth the effort and doing it. My mic sounds terrible. Bakery and Dunk are probably sick of it, so we're gonna wrap the show up. Thanks for dealing with our issues tonight, guys. We'll see you in 2 nights. November 22nd is a Wednesday, and that'll be episode 162. We'll see you then. GG's. Welcome here to Town Hall Heroes.